So you located your MSS, you entered at the retest of the flip zone or the breaker, or you just waited for a bullish zone to be created, then enter at its 50%. Then what happened is they took your zone, closed under it, and now you think it's a bearish zone, and then they take your stop loss again, and they resume going in the first direction you thought they'd be going. If this is something that happens to you a lot, stay tuned, because I will show you how to exactly trade CHoChs and MSS without getting trapped by fake flips. Trading CHoCh and MSS was hard until I found out about this very interesting manipulation pattern. Hi traders, welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's video on mastering change of character and MSS with a secret manipulation pattern, I want to let you know that you guys can join our free Discord community. It's a great place to connect with like-minded traders, share setups, and daily insights. And just to let you know, everything I do is completely free. There is no paid services here. You will find the link in the pinned comment, so don't miss out. Okay, so this is the first pattern, and this is the one that happens almost always. So price now is doing lower lows, but now we have our MSS. Price then comes and touches the zone for the first time, and it leaves. And by leaving it, it creates a fake zone. So this zone here or order block will be a trap. Price then will go back to mitigate the first 50% of the unmitigated zone it created before the MSS, and then it will leave the zone again, creating the best zone to trade for me and the safest one. Now mind you that they also created this bearish zone trap in here. So by them doing this manipulation pattern, they will create two traps. The one here in this fake zone, and then they will take the stops of the guys that will turn bearish by them creating this bearish zone. Okay, I'm not even talking about the breakout traders that took this trade here and are now break even. So this coming back to this zone makes a lot of sense for them to do. So if you want to trade this pattern, you will have two trades. First trade is from the 50% of the first pattern, and the stop loss will always be under this low. After we close above this high, you can take the trade from this 50% and you can target the 1-to-1 or this new week high. So example of this is what happened on last Friday. So price is doing lower lows, then we MSS, we touched or retested the MSS and created a fake zone. We take its low, mitigating the 50% of the first zone. Then we take the second bearish trap, and then we created our safest zone to trade. And the best trade, as I always say, is this second trade after the manipulation has ended. Pattern number 2, and it happens when PA is really cruel and really wants to get your stop loss. So we are making lower lows, lower highs. We flipped bullish. Price comes to the 50% and tags your first trade, and it's a winner. Now, when they create the second swing, although they mitigated the 50% of the first zone, they come and still sweep its low, then they resume back bullish. Again, like the first pattern, we create this stop loss in here and this stop losses in here for the bearish guys. And then just like the first pattern, this is like the best zone to trade. Why? Because they already did the manipulation. So I found out about this pattern after lots of time of trading and losing these trades in here. And then by thinking about it, lots of time, it only made sense for them to manipulate in here just to make sure nobody is following them in their direction. This is a good example of this pattern, and mind you, I kept looking for it a lot because this pattern is not what you usually see in price. So price flipped this zone and came back to the 50% and took the trade. So this was a winner, but unfortunately the second best zone, they took the second best zone stops and then resumed bullish. Okay, so now that they took the second best zone, this is now the best zone to trade, right? But they did the golden bullet entry and they didn't even tag the equilibrium and kept going up. So this was a trend day, so they usually do that in trend days. Pattern number 3, and as you can see, it happens when PA is beautiful. So we are making lower lows, and after the MSS, we mitigate the 50% of the MSS zone. We create a new zone and respect its 50%, and then we keep going respecting the zones. When this happens, price is accelerating and targeting some liquidity at the highs. So when this happens, you keep taking trades from the 50% till it stops happening. Example of this is what happened in this bearish flip. So price was doing higher highs till we flipped and closed about the last protected low. So we flipped bullish and we instantly traded to 50% and kept going down. So as you can see, price action was beautiful and respected all the bearish zones going down. Pattern number 4, the fake flip. So price is again doing lower lows and higher lows or lower highs. Price flips a zone, but that zone is nothing but accumulation or first stop for the zone above. The fake flip usually happens when there is no zone at the left of this flip. And also, this bearish zone here will be often unmitigated. Also, usually, there will be a fair value gap on a higher time frame, and this accumulation will be the high of the lower candle just under the fair value gap at higher time frame. Whenever you see a flip, just try to go up a time frame and see if we didn't reject a higher time frame fair value gap. So again, what is the best trade for this scenario is to wait for the manipulation to end and then take the trade. So if they manipulated higher and then closed under, you take it from the 50% of the bearish leg. Example of a fake flip. So price closed under this last protected low just to mitigate the golden trade of this last zone because price was trending this example. So we fake flipped just to continue back bullish, and the best trade was to take a new trade from this new zone, right? So this was another golden bullet entry, or you could have waited for the 50% tag, just what happened in here, and continue the trade up or take the 1-to-1. Okay, now let's go do a quick review of Nasdaq on Friday, the 15th August. I saw Asia guys in the Discord taking this short, this moneymaker short. Then price flipped here. They were waiting for the 15% tag. Never tagged. They created this huge displacement with accumulation. So that's a A++ moneymaker zone. So they took their 1-to-1 here again. Price again kept going up. And we created a protected low here, new one. We closed above it. Everybody in the Discord also took this trade in London. This long here, 1-to-1 again. It was a win, right? Then we created this new zone. Some guys took it from this SNDR and got their 1-to-1, while the guy that were still thinking price will get that higher time frame high, this one, they were still bullish and they took the trade again. So they got their first loss in here. But as soon as we closed under this protected low, this was now a bearish zone, right? And this is what we studied today. So this was a bearish flip. And it went and mitigated the 50% instantly. So the guys took this trade, right? Okay. So after price mitigated this 50% and closed under the low again, as you can see, this was not a valid high because we didn't close above this down candle. Okay. So this was not a zone. We waited for a new zone to be created and it got created here. So now we were waiting for the price to close under this low for us to confirm this zone. Okay. Unfortunately, price came back and never tagged us in the 50%. but they tagged this second time frame SNDR, and I remember Fluxus taking the 1-to-1 of this zone. Okay, so no problem, we're going down. We created now this protected high. This was our new bearish zone. Okay, this was accumulation, so this was a with accumulation and displacement, right? So we took another 1-to-1 in this zone. Okay, for the guys that are new in this video to the moneymaker, please go to my channel. You will find the videos teaching the moneymaker setup. You will enjoy it. It's a very easy model that keep printing money for us. Okay, so when we closed under this, we created our first bearish zone, right? So this was a higher time frame low. We accumulated under it, right? So this is nothing but accumulation. And then we closed under the manipulation zone, okay? Which means, and since they didn't make it to the 50%, it means that they were trending down for the session. Remember the video about the golden bullet, right? So if you wanted to catch a trade, you needed to find your dealing range, the last one, and apply golden bullet fibs, right, to the last dealing range, and find your trend or your trade at equilibrium, okay, and try to get as much as you can from price, right? So they kept going down, and here is what happened in New York session, okay? So here is maybe where a lot of traders got trapped, and this is why I decided to do this video for you guys. Now here's where you normally pay attention, okay guys? So price came here, we closed under this zone, although it was not valid, but it was still a zone. Why? Because we wicked again under this zone, and this was a valid zone, right? So this is still a valid zone. Why? Because we closed above it, which means now we MSS or flipped bullish, okay? Now we flipped above it, we just touched or retested the highs, and then we went and mitigated the last second zone, bearish zone, right? This was an SNDR in the M1, but it was also a valid zone in the second time frame, okay? Sorry, it was actually a valid zone in the M1 time frame too, okay? Because we closed above this bearish candle, okay? So how can you know that now we really flipped bullish, right? They could have tested this zone, right? And do price pattern number 4, where they just do the fake flip and come down again. Why? Because we also didn't have some good higher time frame zone. Now, I know we had this unmitigated zone, but nobody could have seen it. You needed a lot of experience to know that we have this unmitigated zone and we are now flipping, okay? So whenever this happens and we have now the last bullish zone here, they could have taken your stop. You never take this trade from this zone, right? But because this is a A plus or A money maker, and we have an A++ just under, just trust the A++, okay? Never trust the A when you have an A++ just under, okay? So what you do is keep waiting till you get tagged and you have your first win, okay? Or just do nothing, because this trade is still risky. Why? This was not risky because it has this glitch in here, right? So here's the glitch. So they just tapped the 50% of the glitch, which is the origin of this move, and gave the 1-to-1. So this was a good trade, but the best trade is to wait for them to really show the hands. And by that I mean wait for them to really close above this SNDR, and now we confirm bullishness. Okay, so we closed above it here. This is a small close, but it's still a close. Okay, right? So now we confirmed our second best zone to trade. This is the best zone to trade when they ended the manipulation. Okay, so we got tagged instantly in the 50%, and we got our 1-to-1. Okay, now there is another thing that I saw people doing. Okay, so although we went back to this 50% and closed above here, this was not a zone to trade. Why? Because we didn't have a valid pullback here. So this low is likely being taken as liquidity, right? So what do I do in these cases? I just put my limits under this low, stops under the protected low, and target the weak low or the weak high, or just go for the 1-to-1. I love my 1-to-1, so I will just take the 1-to-1. Okay, so we're in, and the 1-to-1 is given. And also, if you targeted this high, it will take more time, right? That's why I love the 1-to-1s. But we both make money, right? That's the important thing. Now that we close above this high, right? Now we have our new bullish zone. Okay, we don't care, we stop caring about what's happening here, and we're just following the story of price here, right? So this is all manipulation above this zone. Okay, although this is still a valid pullback, right? So taking a trade here is risky, yes, but it's still valid. They can still give you the 1-to-1. But the best thing is never take an A money maker that is above an A++ money maker. Okay, let's see what price does. Right, so they still gave you the 1-to-1. Okay, that's cool. All right, so we are tagged in our A++ zone, and the TP was hit. Okay, now you stop taking trades here. Why? Because we know that they were just accumulating back to the 50% of this zone, and price is still bullish. Okay, again, that's why I don't trust trading flips on the 50%, and we take the direct entry, and the stops are under the protected low. So why? Because here we flipped in here, CSS candle flip, right? But we still took that low, right? So that's why I don't like to trade the flips and everything else. I just take simple trades and safer ones, right? So if you took this trade and targeted the weak high, your TP is hit. Okay, now we made this bullish zone, right? We wait for price to create something or come back to it. Again, we created this valid pullback in here, right? Maybe they gave to the 1-to-1 here. No. We have now this new protected low, like that, right? So they gave the 1-to-1 again. So that's another win, right? See how simple it is? But I'm still waiting for this 50% of this higher time frame zone, right? Okay, so we're going, and we have our other unmitigated zone here, giving also the 1-to-1, right? All beautiful, right? So now we have this bearish zone, right? Interesting trade also. So they gave the 1-to-1 also. See how many wins we take in no time, right? So another win. If you guys are crazy enough to take it another time. Okay. So they came back to it like at 4 o'clock. Market like is closed, but let's just keep playing and see what happens. Okay, so it just closed. Market just closed without tagging it. Alright, thanks traders for sticking around to the end. I hope you found this breakdown of change of character and MSS trading manipulation concepts with the moneymaker setup helpful. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with your fellow traders, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future content. And remember, our Discord community is completely free, so join us by clicking the link in the description or the pinned comment. Let's keep growing together. Until next time, trade smart and stay profitable. Ciao, ciao.